With so many walks to success, one thing remains the same. There's a difference between those that say and those that do. Yet it's those successful ones. You know who they are. They're the ones that do both. Join us on Dress to the Nines as we visit with the friends, trends, and trade secrets to their success. Mary Daly, and I'm a writer on a mission to discover the secrets of success with some of the most moving and inspiring people of this day and age. I want to know how they define success, what it means to them, and how they wear it with style.
Is the next generation in terms of an icon?
Yeah, who are the current to inspire the next generation? Angella Nazarian wrote a book titled Visionary Women. And in this book, she writes about 20 compelling women. All icons, all legacies. I found personally, as a writer and a woman, I was compelled to follow in their footsteps. As you hear about an average woman who builds her dreams against all odds. And the common trait that each of them seemed to have was passion, faith, and unstoppable personal drive. And when they were challenged in a particular stage of life, they were able to overcome obstacles. And here I am today with this modern day change agent, Angella Nazarian, empowering women find their inner abilities that inspire us all to achieve their dreams. There is a quote, "One is not born a woman, one becomes a woman." Who is Angella Nazarian? Who is this visionary woman?
Mary, thank you for actually talking about that quote. That's a quote from Simone de Bauar, a woman I profiled in my previous book called Pioneers of the Possible. And what it really gets at is the fact that we as women are constantly evolving and we define who we want to be. So who am I? I think that I define myself by the relationships I build, whether it's in the community or one-on-one with family members and colleagues and friends. So I'm not only a daughter and a wife and a mom, but I'm also a woman first and foremost, and I like to be the change agent for other women, and I want to unleash the voices of other women around the world.
And how important is style to you?
Style is actually very important to me. I think it's an expression of who I am. So it's something that from the first impression that somebody gets, they see the whole package. And I think for me, style has always been a way of me putting forward an aspect of my personality.
And how does a woman of character dress for success?
Well, it depends how we define character. I can certainly say what I feel. For me, I do think that a woman who wants to feel very powerful in the workplace tends to not only dress seriously, but not overly serious. I think that what makes a woman very powerful is that they feel so comfortable with who they are. And so their dressing is very natural to their personality. I do think that there's always elegance goes a long way, and having a little bit of an edge or a boldness speaks a lot about your own personal style as well.
So how do trends tie in?
Trends, well, it's a good question. I think, for example, the color blocking, I love that. I mean, I do think that, it can be very elegant, but you're still up on trends. I do think that certain things can be always timeless. although it looks very modern. So for example, I think Marnie has a certain kind of look where it's it's really for creative people. Celine, for example, I feel like it's very chic and modern and streamlined, so that's really good for boardrooms. Prada is very whimsical. I sometimes wear Prada in that way. So there's always a way of bringing in trends without looking too trendy. I think that's important.
Let's talk about the next generation of women. What words can you say to inspire our next generation?
I always say that through the research that I've done on the most trailblazing women around the world, is that the next generation of girls really need to focus on their strengths. I know that we live in a culture where we're always wanting to improve ourselves, both in terms of personal growth and physically. But when you look at the most effective women, it is that they exactly knew who they were, what their strengths were, and they really tailored a life around those strengths. So that really leads you to have a really empowered lifestyle, because you also gather around people in your lives that will support that vision of who you want to be.
Angela, what do you wish for the next generation of women?
I really hope that the next generation of women feel that they could use their voice freely, that they put it towards the things that matter to them, that they are bold, both in who they are and what they do, and they keep pushing barriers. And I think that there's so much that women can do. When you think that half the population of the earth is filled with women, and the way they can contribute to economic empowerment, the way they can contribute to the world, and the way that they can also change the image of what a woman can be really incredible.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and if you pushed barriers when you were younger?
Oh, good question. Well, I have a very interesting background. So I was born in Iran, and I came to Los Angeles at the age of 11. At the time, I came to visit my two brothers who were studying here, and the Iranian Revolution took place, and I never went back. So for me, that pivotal age of 11 became a doorway to bigger possibilities. It was a time of great transformation for me and very difficult, but in hindsight, I think about all the opportunities that were presented to me as a young girl, where I could see different role models, and I could really take on so many different things that were coming my way. So I got a chance to blend in some of my Eastern background with a more modern Western background. And, I think it's been a great journey, because I can see that had I not been here, I wouldn't have become the person that I had always imagined for myself. The opportunities here really opened a doorway for me. I think it was one of those serendipitous occasions that led me to become a much bigger person than I would have imagined.
Were you ever fearful?
Absolutely.
How did you overcome your fear?
I think fear is a good thing to have. I think that if we live life without having that fear, we're not doing enough. We're not really pushing ourselves. So I always say, do something that you fear, because it pushes you to grow. So I do that on a regular basis. I think what was very hard for me is, first of all, taking on tasks that I didn't know what the end point would be. And you learn to rely on your resources and to ask for help. And these are good skills for anyone to have.
When conferences that I attend, women leaders are usually addressing other well-established women. When do we ask young women or disadvantaged youth to join the conversation? Can you tell me?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I'm very particularly passionate about is how do we mentor the younger generation. And I look back and I think about myself, how I grappled to find people that I could look up to and say, now that is an example of a woman I want to be. And I think that so many people don't have access to good mentors. So, you know, I have a nonprofit organization called Visionary Women, and I hold salons for a really select group of women leaders. And I thought one of the best ways that we could also affect our community is to bring in high potential girls from inner city schools to come and attend these conferences. So they not only get to meet other successful women, they get to be in a small room, ask questions, and these are the opportunities that we could give this younger generation in terms of giving them a whole array of people that they can be.
And what common characteristics or traits have you discovered in highly successful people?
So, highly successful people know themselves very well. They know their strengths and talents and really put their time and effort towards their strengths and talents. But another interesting thing about very successful, not only women, but men, is that they know how to relate to other people. And it's so important to make sure that we treat ourselves like a corporate board. Like, who do you have on your board? Who are the 5 people that you rely on? And those 5 people oftentimes dictate who you're going to be even 5 years down the line.
You appear to be a global traveler. What's the best part of traveling the world?
I think the best part of traveling the world is that you get to know yourself better. That the more experiences you have in the outer world, it somehow relates back to who you are, and you discover certain parts of yourself that you didn't know existed. I also think that I use my travel as a way of learning about different cultures and different people. 2 years ago, I was in Argentina and I was busy writing my 3rd book. And to me, I wanted to know who are the cultural icons in that country. And that's how I found one of the people that I profiled in my book. So approaching your travel with a sense of openness and curiosity really leads to a great instances of learning and connection with other people. You know, I can be a very light traveler because I travel so much. Sometimes I can even go to Europe with a carry-on.
What did you read as a young person?
You know, it's very interesting. When I look at my childhood, I always gravitated towards reading biographies. Natural curiosity of most people is to understand what the life of another person is, to be in another person's shoes. And given the fact that I didn't have mentors, I think that was one of the easiest ways for me to access what a bigger life could be for me.
And so you are an author of a best-selling book. Can you tell me about the books that you've written and your current book?
Yes. So I've written 3 books. Visionary Women is my latest book that just got launched 2 weeks ago. And my first book actually is the life story of our family move to Los Angeles and my transition. That was called Life as a Visitor. My next one was called Pioneers of the Possible, and what I really wanted to do is go back to my roots in psychology. I was a psychology professor for 11 years and wanted to do research on the lives of most successful women, write about it, and see if they had any common characteristics that I could share with my audience. And that has led me to this 3rd volume of another 20 profiles of trailblazing women. And it is so spectacular to not only do research, but also meet these people and interview them. And in some ways, when I'm very close to that source of inspiration, I feel like I live an inspired life.
I just had the honor and privilege of meeting with Angella Nazarian, a true inspiration for us all. So when I spoke to Angella, it made me reflect of our own forward-thinking women in our day and age. Women like Amal Clooney, human rights activist, Vivienne Westwood, an eco-sustainable inspiration, Oprah Winfrey, empowering women on a daily basis, and Angella Nazarian, who is dressed to the nines, leading the world to a greater good, one heel at a time, and that's something to stand for. I'm Mary Daly, and you're watching Dressed to the Nines. See you next time.